With the injury bug running rampant through our rosters, Matt and I have some great players that could help you sooner than later on today's action-packed episode of Locked On Fantasy Baseball.
You are Locked On Fantasy Baseball, your daily fantasy baseball podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, fantasy baseball fanatics, and welcome to the Locked On Fantasy Baseball podcast, brought to you by the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. As always, we're your number one source of fantasy baseball knowledge, and thank you for making us your first listen each and every day. I'm your host, Dominic Martino. You can find me on Twitter at DomMartinoFB. Here, as always, with my brother, my co-host, my partner in crime, Matthew Ane, and you can find him on Twitter at Matthew_Ane. If you're listening on a platform like Apple or Spotify that allows 5-star ratings and reviews, we would truly appreciate it if you could do that for us. And if you're watching on YouTube and you haven't already, hit that little bell below. It subscribes to the channel and gives you notification every time we drop a new episode. And lastly, but most importantly to Matt and I, join us on the Subtext platform. We offer so much more on the Subtext platform than we do in this 30-minute podcast. The link to our Subtext is available in our bio, wherever you're watching or listening, or on any of our social media platforms. And today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Make every moment more. Right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 bet. That's $150 with any winning $5 bet. Visit FanDuel.com/locked on to get started today. And guys, one last thing, super fun one. We're doing a special giveaway. We are doing a giveaway for one of those awesome hats. If you're watching on YouTube, you saw Matt give a little point to it. We're giving away one of these Locked On Fantasy Baseball hats. All you need to do to enter is simply share any of our posts on X or Instagram. Each share earns you entry into the draw. The more you share, the greater your chances are of winning. Don't miss out. The drawing will be held on my birthday, actually, June 14th. So get in the game now. And guys, this is a good episode. We got a lot of really good names here. We got a couple of guys on the IL that are coming back sooner than later, and we got some young prospects. We're going to get those rosters back into shape. And Matt, I think we have a really good one up first.
We do. We definitely do. And, if you're one of those guys that lost, a top end arm this year, cough, Spencer Strider, this may be a nice replacement that you're able to get for free 99, and that's Jeffrey Springs. Jeffrey Springs was off to a crazy start to the season. Pretty much would have won Cy Young, in my opinion, if he would have actually stayed healthy. Unfortunately, he broke Dom's heart and other fantasy owners' hearts by getting hurt and getting the TEJ. That sticky STD of the TEJ just, sticks around and has to keep you out of baseball for about a year and a half. But he will be starting pitching in the Florida Complex League on May 20th, which is Monday. So pretty much what that timeline tells me is he's probably 2 or 3 weeks out from that Monday. We'll probably have 2 or 3 rehab starts and then pretty much be back to, full-blown action. If you don't remember who Jeffrey Springs is, I'm going to tell you about him real quick. In 2022, which was his last full season, right? He had 135 innings pitched, 144 strikeouts, a 2.46 ERA, and he had a whip of 107. Fantastic numbers. Started 25 games. He had how many winnings? He had 9 wins. And honestly, the Rays have gotten better. They always seem how to squeak out wins with Lowe returning to the lineup. The other Lowe or Lau, however you want to say it, is going to returning to the lineup as well. They're just going to be rolling in it, and Jeffrey Springs should benefit from that high-powered returning offense, I guess I would say. So Jeffrey Springs is a mustache right now. You can add him right to your IL in most leagues. So do it now before the others get him. He is right now, just for a check, 10% owned. He's out there in 90% of leagues. Do it now. I promise. You probably are adding, in my opinion, probably next year's top 15 pitcher in my rankings. I can guarantee it.
Yeah, I love me some Jeffrey Springs. He's a guy who really figured it out, back in 2021. It was in a relieving role, but he really figured out what works for him as a pro after having a couple of, bad years. Then he started to make the transition to a starter in 2022, and Matt, read you off those, breakout numbers. And he was off to such a monstrous start in 2023, but really, just had the injury and held him back. But with Jeffrey Springs, Springs, Matt, I'm close to the same board. I think they might, do the kid glove things, especially since it's Tampa. If it was another team, I'd say maybe, but and then the word is, what I'm reading is the projected return is late June. So if it is, that I'm still stashing him everywhere, still stashing him absolutely everywhere. If you have the spot and you can make the room and you can afford it, absolutely do it. But just be aware, it might be a little bit of time before we see him. And then even when we do, I could see the starter, the 3-4 inning type of thing with Springs. But I do love him. The talent is there. Very, very good starting pitcher. It's honestly a pause the podcast moment. Make see if he's available and try and make the room. Let's move on to, another very good starting pitcher that's coming back soon. We talked about him a couple of times. But throwing him out there again because it's a very good starting pitcher. Let's talk about Garrett Whitlock from those Boston Red Sox. A lot of the Boston Red Sox pitchers have actually been, excelling this year. So, you love to see that, if you're a Red Sox fan. I'm not, but I still love to see it for fantasy purposes. So Garrett Whitlock, in his first rehab start, he struck out 5, allowed 2 hits, 1 walk over 4.2 scoreless innings on Wednesday. He's looking pretty good so far, and looked really, really good in his first 18 innings this year, at 17 strikeouts, 1.96 ERA, 1.15 whip. Whitlock, who was somebody, a couple of years ago was pretty high on, another guy who made the transition from a reliever to a starter. And I really, really think Garrett Whitlock is somebody, that we have to get on our rosters because at, 28 years old, I really think this could be, the breakout year where he's healthy and, just really can take your team to another level. He's 30% owned at the moment, and they're saying he could come off the IL to make his next appearance, with the team. So, we'll see how it goes. You can get him on your team, so he'll be back sooner than Springs. So I'm all about it. Love me some Garrett Whitlock.
Yeah. No, I mean, Whitlock is definitely somebody that's interesting. He'll probably go ahead and take Cooper Criswell's spot if I had to take a guess at who's going to get bumped from that lineup.
I do like Cooper Criswell, though.
He has been performing.
He has.
I can see in some weeks they might turn to a 6-man rotation, but ultimately he'll probably get the bump back into the bullpen. But it is what it is. Criswell is somebody to keep an eye on as well, just as somebody might get hurt in this lineup. So, Garrett Whitlock will essentially assume his throne very quickly. But yeah, I like what he started off in 2023, and we'll see where this brings. But let's move on. Let's talk about Byron Buxton before we hit the break here. Byron Buxton is aiming to return this weekend, and we all know what Byron Buxton could be, should be, but he never lives up to the full-blown hype because that man is just as fragile as Alberto Mondesi. But, the guy has power upside. He has stolen base upside. He has, hasn't looked like he had batting average upside in the last 3 years, but I apologize. Yes, the last 3 years. But, it is what it is. If he can manage to even play 340 at bats, hit you about 225 to 250, I'm not going to be mad at what you're going to get. What he did in 2022 was pretty extraordinary in those 340 at bats. He had 61 runs, 13 doubles, 3 triples, 28 bombs, 51 ribs, 6 stolen bases. Struck out a whole bunch, didn't walk a whole bunch, but he still had an OBP of 300 and slug of 526 and an OPS of 833. So, in the leagues that you don't play with average, you play with OBP or OPS. He ain't mutilating you. Actually, in OPS, he's helping you. And those 28 home runs contribution in those 340 at-bats is super valuable. So if you're down on the outfield and you've lost a couple of guys, you're still waiting for like a Luis Roberts to return and such, Byron Buxton would be a nice little addition to get in your roster right now. So honestly, add him now and see what happens. I mean, if he doesn't perform, drop him like he's hot, but I have a feeling he might.
Yeah, man, actually, this is one we're on the same page with. There's always a chance you can capture lightning in a bottle with Byron Buxton. And I think that's literally the best way to say it. Byron Buxton goes on stretches where he is the best player in baseball for 2 weeks at a time, and if you can get that and just juice the orange, and then even if you could pull off when he's on that stretch a trade and get, someone, a top 30 outfielder, by all means, get that deal done because Byron Buxton still does have that name value. And honestly, he's a guy I would love to juice the orange with. Byron Buxton is 34% owned at the moment. So he's somebody that we could definitely at least, throw him on the watch list for now. But before we move on and talk about a guy that could potentially be the best pitcher in all of baseball, we do have a quick ad for you guys. And guys, we're talking Supply House. Get supplies from the site that's made for skilled trades. SupplyHouse.com. SupplyHouse.com is the reliable way to order plumbing, HVAC, and electrical products online. Their easy to use website is packed with helpful resources and the latest product info to help you get the job done right. Shop a complete inventory of over 200,000 parts from over 400 top brands and get your order delivered right to your door with fast shipping from coast to coast. Need help with an order? Get an expert support and industry leading service from the friendliest folks in the business and talk to a real person every time. Pros in the skilled trades can get you a competitive edge by joining SupplyHouse.com's free Trade Master program. Every Trade Master gets access to a dedicated phone line, free shipping, and discounts on every order. Join thousands of trade pros already benefiting from their free membership at supplyhouse.com/TM and order plumbing, HVAC, and electrical supplies from anywhere with just a few clicks at supplyhouse.com. And guys, are you watching Fox Sports or ESPN on your TV all day? Have to turn down the volume with all that shouting? Make the switch over to Locked On Sports today, a free 24/7 sports streaming channel programmed for your everyday to bring you the biggest stories without all that screaming. Locked On Sports Today brings you can't miss analysis, opinions, and news streaming 24/7 on YouTube or the free Amazon Fire TV channels app. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. And then once again, we're introducing the Locked On Fantasy Baseball Podcast Diamond Club on the Subtext platform, your ultimate fantasy baseball companion. As the season unfolds, you can rely on us for dynamic content, get real-time alerts right to your phone, including waiver wire rankings, instant call-up notifications, and so much more. Stay ahead of your fantasy baseball league by joining the Diamond Club on the Subtext platform, where the path to your victories begin. Subscribe now and elevate your fantasy baseball experience to a new level. And guys, we are jumping back in here, and I honestly was not, lying to you. We're going to talk about Jacob deGrom here. And Matt, my brother, I talk so much, but hop on in here.
Yeah, Jacob deGrom due back at some point this season. I'm gonna try and get a timeline for when, but we all know who he could be,
I'll do
right?
it. I'll just keep talking. I got it.
Thank you. I appreciate that. We all know who he could be. Best pitcher in baseball when healthy. And that's like, it's the same thing when it comes to like Clayton Kershaw, right? They're the best, they could be the two best pitchers in the league without a doubt because the strikeout numbers are absolutely ridiculous. The ERA is just going to be ridiculous. And quite honestly, too, we didn't even get a real taste of what it's going to look like when he's on the Rangers. Probably the best team he's had behind him, period. The win potential is absolutely outrageous just because of the power, speed, and everything behind that team. So Jacob deGrom is going to be a full-blown contributor here in and out. There may be some rough spots of coming back from the Tej, but once that does happen and we get past that little jump, Jacob deGrom is going to be absolutely amazing. And by bad for Jacob deGrom is probably like a 3.02 ERA. So, I mean, who's not taking that? So Jacob deGrom's like a mustache right now. Throw him at him now.
Yeah, right now, deGrom is only 50% owned, 50% owned at the moment. So that's half the leagues. Honestly, I think he is a better stash than Springs, Whitlock, or almost any starting pitcher because he does have the potential to be the best in the game. And I don't know if Springs, as good as Springs can be, I just deGrom's another beast. We've seen him do it for so many years, and the timeline is at least the second half for deGrom. I don't think he will return any sooner than that. Hop in, brother.
I have actually the date that they're expecting him to return right
Oh,
now.
go for it.
So far, tentatively, obviously this could change based off setbacks or improvements, so it could change both left or right. Right now they have him pinned in at August 1st, so he may not be like a super ad this second, but pretty soon.
Yeah, no, exactly. And then what I was seeing here is he's actually going to join the team on their next road trip, which is, May 21st to May 22nd, which is going to be at Philly and Minnesota. So at least if he's traveling with the team, that means he's getting ready to ramp back up. And, a guy like deGrom who's been through it before just reminds me of Bryce Harper last year. Like, oh, he's not going to be back for, how long? But then once he started ramping up, it was just easy for him to get back because he's professional. He's done it for so long. He takes care of his body. He's a student of the game. deGrom is the same, and I really think a guy like deGrom could excel and be back sooner than we think. Let's keep things pushing here, though. Let's move on to our boy Erod. Eduardo Rodriguez, goes over to the Diamondbacks, and a guy that could just be, really useful. He had one of his, if not his career year, last year, as a 30-year-old, right? So what says that he can't, maybe not repeat, but be, similarly as good as he was last year through 3.30 ERA through 26 starts, 152 innings, 143 strikeouts with a 1.15 WHIP. And for Eduardo Rodriguez to see him have a WHIP that's a sub 1.2 is wild to me. So as a 30-year-old, I know Matt says it a lot. Pitching as you get older, it becomes it's a chess match. You kind of start to figure it out. And some pitchers age like fine wine; they get better as they get older. And it looks like we're seeing a little bit of that with Erod here. So I would honestly take the shot on him. Just grab you his ownership percentage real quick before we move on. Pass this over to my brother Matt here. Erod is currently 37% owned. So if you're in a league that's deep and you missed out on the Springs and the Whitlocks and the Groms, you could definitely take the Erod route.
Yeah, no, I like Erod a lot. He's due back. Let me see here. He's due back. Stop at RotoWire. 6/14 on Dom's birthday, so it might be an early
There we go.
birthday present for Dom. But yeah, I like the potential. I like the park. I like the team. Everything about it is screaming like a good remedy for him to have his breakout year. You know, we'll see. To be
And
honest,
he's been throwing. He started
yeah,
throwing too.
yeah. The only thing that we might see is, because it's a shoulder injury, we just got to pray there's no setbacks. But ultimately, stash him now and let's see what happens. Let's move on. Let's start talking some young dudes, right? Let's start talking some prospects. Let's start talking Jackson Jobe, probably one of the best pitching prospects coming in this year. I love him a lot. He's having a great year, I might add. Right now, he has 16 innings pitched. He has 24 strikeouts. He has a 2.16 ERA, a 102 WHIP. He's looking fantastic. The dude has a lot of pitches. I'm a big fan of this kid. I wish I could get his pit what his all his devices are. Unfortunately, I don't have that in front of me. But let's
He's really known for his slider. His slider is his big pitch, and he's got a good fastball too.
yeah. And what I like too about him is where he's going to be pitching when he does get the call, and that's Detroit.
Yes.
So great pitcher park. Jobe has a path to be very successful in the league. So honestly, start looking at him. I foresee him getting the call pretty soon, if I had to take a guess.
Yeah, this is I'm super excited about Jobe. He's a guy who's actually one of the biggest risers when the MLB prospect list got updated recently. I believe he jumped almost 20 spots. He's actually the 10th rated prospect right now in all of the MLB according to MLB.com. Only 5 starts so far in AA for the young Joe, but as Matt read you off those numbers, they look very good so far, and I just love that batters are only hitting 121 against him. Honestly, Jackson Jobe is a guy to acquire in Dynasty right now if you can, and just he's super talented. Let's move on to a position player here. Let's talk about Harry Ford of the Seattle Mariners, and this is a guy who's been slowly moving his way up through the minor leagues past couple of years. Kind of is catching a little bit of his lumps here in AA so far. Only hitting 244 this year with 32 games, 119 at bats, 20 runs, 9 doubles, 4 homers, 13 RBIs with 8 steals. But this is what I love to see. The plate discipline is very good from him. He has 27 walks to 30 strikeouts, and he's been notoriously known for that throughout his minor league career. He's got solid pop. He's got solid speed for a catcher. Has 20 steals on both the past 2 seasons in the minors. Also has a little bit of pop. Not really more known for that. 15 homers last year, 11 homers the year before. But hey, if you can get a catcher that's going to go 15-30 in the bigs with very good plate discipline on a Seattle team where Mitch Garver isn't the guy I thought he was going to be. So Mitch Garver's DH, and you got Cal Raleigh there though too. But I really think Harry Ford can find a way into this Seattle lineup with a bunch of those young guys and make a difference there.
Yeah, I mean, there's also a path too where they move him to just playing a different position. I wouldn't be surprised if we start seeing him play first base. So Harry Ford is a very talented player in general. So a lot of catcher prospects that generally have like an obstacle in front of them that they want to call up, they start putting them at someplace else. First place is usually the place we start seeing like other players that we're not going to talk about today. But yeah, Harry Ford, big prospect, like the name. But before we move on and we start talking about a guy that has had a monster season so far, but is a little hurt right now, but should still keep an eye out for. We have a sponsor right, and we'll be back right after this. And it's winner takes all time in the NBA and NHL, and FanDuel is giving you a shot to bring home a big win for your own. Right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 bet. It's $150 to spend on spreads, money lines, player props, same game parlays, different parlays, advanced spreads, all this wonderful stuff. So many options on FanDuel where you can just come up with some wonderful ways to win some money, play some good bets, and just win big. And you're pretty much just $5 bet turns into $150. Who could beat that? A great odds you got on these on bets this year is going for same hits, tied for same amount of hits. I've seen amazing odds on that. So please check it out. Try that. I guarantee you'll hit on one or two. Throw a $5 bet on there, you get $150. Why not? So visit FanDuel.com/locked on. Make every playoff shot count. FanDuel, America's #1 sports book. Whew. All right. And we are back and we are rolling, and we're going to talk some Jase Young. Jase Young is interesting. I like the profile. The kid has power, and I'm going to read off a little bit about him, what I like, what I don't like, what I'm excited for, and we can go from there. So far, the kid has just proven himself wholeheartedly in 2023 with 182 at bats. He had 14 home runs. He did the same thing when he got the promotion to Double A, and another great amount of bats and had another 14 home runs. The kid has some serious potential in the power category. Second baseman, dude is just legit going to be good, in my opinion. He is dealing with a little bit of soreness that's undisclosed. It's the only thing that might hamper him getting the call this year. But I think if he comes out of it on top, he should be fine. Through 124 at bats this year, he has 21 runs. He has 10 doubles, a triple, 6 bombs, 27 ribs. He has a stolen base, and he's batting 282. The guy has hit 286 in Double A after he got the promotion, and has continued that batting average in Triple A now in Toledo, and I'm loving it. Jase Young has some serious upside. Consider consider stashing him. He's not my number one guy at all this. He's probably more of a watch list guy if I really had to go about it. But if he gets the call, I'm probably running out there and trying to snag him.
I'll just keep it simple with Jase Young. Jase Young. He reminds me of his brother. It's Josh Young's little brother, in case anybody didn't know. And you look at him and he just reminds me of his brother. Big time power, strong batting average. That's who he's going to be. It might be a little bit tougher in Detroit. So as to where, he might, if he went to a good hitter's park, 35 home run guy, maybe he's only a 28 home run guy in Detroit. I think the team is going to hold him back a little bit, but he's definitely somebody, let me just double check his eligibility on Yahoo, because I know Yahoo loves to play, games with eligibility, but he's second base eligible on Yahoo. Middle infield is very tough right now, especially, second base. So go out there, make sure Jase Young is at least on your radar. Let's move on to another little brother. I wanted to do this. I thought it would be a fun little thing just in case people aren't aware of these guys. Let's talk about Jason Chourio, and that's Jackson Chourio's younger brother. He's not so much as talented as his older brother, where I think Jase Young, will give, Josh a run for his money. Jason Chourio is like I said, not as talent as I'm trying to pull up my stuff here. Bear with me, folks. Matt, any chance you have it up, because I'm struggling right now over here, brother. I do apologize.
What were you looking for? I apologize. What were you looking for?
Jason Chourio.
Oh, I can pull that up.
Yeah, so Jason Chourio does take some things from his older brother, like the batting average. He's been pretty good so far in his minor league career with his batting average. Power is not something he excels at, and the speed is pretty decent. Walk to strikeout ratio, though, I do love it. He is doing very wonderful with that. 26 walks to 18 strikeouts this year, really getting his feet wet. The young Chourio is actually only 18 years old, 6'1", 162 pounds. I'd really love to see this kid put on some mass and some muscle over the next couple of years. Now, this isn't a guy that's on a radar for this year, but it's just a fun name. Like I said, his older brother is out there dominating. So in dynasty leagues right now, this might be a guy I'm trying to acquire, or at least, if he's available in a dynasty league and you got a spot, throw him on, those teams. And even if you're just an average fantasy player, it's good to have these names on your radar so that when they do get called up or, they're on their way, you already know and you're prepared to pick them up. Because sometimes if you haven't heard of the player or, the name, you're a little bit tentative. But, we're giving you the information now, so you're ahead of the game.
Yeah, no, fair point. It's always nice to keep a guy in the back of your head. And it's fun. But let's move on to a guy that's going to be a little bit more on the relevance, I think, this year, and that's Tink Hence. Tink is Captain Tinker. He has been a great prospect for quite a while, in all honesty. Last year wasn't great if you really looked at the total numbers, but if you broke it down and you looked at what he did in A+, it was just the promotion that kind of ate him up. He had quite a few starts. He had a little bit more innings in Double-A and struggled a little bit, but has course corrected this year. So, like, when he was in A+, he had a 2.81 ERA. Got to Double-A, had a 5.47 ERA. This year in Double-A, he has a 3.21 ERA. The dude is a strikeout machine, I might add. He right now on the season, he has 33 innings pitched and 37 strikeouts. Last year, he had, 3 Ks higher, but he keeps going. Like, even in 2022, he had 52 innings pitched. He had 81 strikeouts. The kid can go ahead and just strike everybody out. He has some great stuff. I'm just a little concerned about his consistency, how often he gives up home runs. So the kid does have a little things that kind of like hold me back from like really buying in or getting super excited. But he's a top end pitching prospect name, and it's somebody to pay attention to at the end of the day. If he gets the promotion anytime soon, I will do a speculative ad. So I'm not saying I'm going to add him today, but I will say he's going to be on the watch list. He will be a guy that I go into like Bleacher Report and a couple other spots and highlight him so that I can get the alert when he does get the call, because I will add him. Hence has a lot of upside, so might as well keep an eye out.
Yeah, Tink Hence is a pretty, high-end prospect. And it was really just struggling once he got to Double-A last year. That's the only time he's really struggled in his career. But back in Double-A this year, as Matt read you off those numbers, he's looking really strong. And then just once again, I just love when, pitchers can keep that batting average down against them. And, hitters are, only batting 208 against Hence this year. So he's somebody, as Matt said, as soon as he gets called up, I'm making sure I have those alerts on because I will definitely be trying to roster him. Let's move on and let's talk some Junior Caminero, right? Junior Caminero was somebody who honestly really could have, made the roster coming out of spring training and didn't. But this guy is just down there dominating right now in AAA, batting .316 through 24 games, 16 runs, 5 doubles, 7 homers, 19 RBIs, 11 walks to 22 strikeouts, and he even has thrown a steal in there. Junior Caminero is the reason he's the number 3 prospect in all of baseball, and I absolutely love him. He's currently actually 44% rostered. This is a guy that any day could get the call. He's been actually he actually got his first start at second base of the season in AAA. That was on Tuesday. Went 3 for 6 with a home run and 2 RBIs. And I mean, as soon as this guy gets the call, he should be universally owned. He should be 100% owned, absolutely everywhere. Junior Caminero, once again, Tampa Bay Rays number 1 prospect.
The best part about this is he's still only 44% owned, so not everybody is stashing him. So he's out there and he's available. For a number 3 prospect to be available this much is kind of wild to me, because this is kind of getting into the Ellie De La Cruz range, right? So like when Ellie De La Cruz got the call, he instantly went up, and if you missed out on him, you were really upset, right? So don't miss out on Ellie De La Cruz this year. Junior Caminero right now, we were saying to draft him and stash him. So
Yeah.
you should be picking him up and stashing him today, because he's 1, the number 3 prospect overall. 2, he's going to be an instant contributor. And 3, everybody was willing to place their bets on him before we even knew if he was making the team. So Junior Caminero has the most upside out of everybody that we've spoken today. I love Caminero.
Easily.
Let's go. Caminero City. Let's ride. Little Russell Wilson for you. But anyway, guys, please like, subscribe, comment, rate, review, and we'll see you tomorrow. We'll hit you with some waiver wire ads to go into the weekend and crush that competition. But until then, guys, peace.
See ya.